Hi, James. Hi, Patrick. Hi,
Hello.
Millie.
Hi, morning.
Hi,
Good morning.
good morning.
All right, let's. Hi, Stanley.
Hi, Lawton.
Let's give it another minute. I think people are still joining.
Sure. Hi, Vivian. Long time no see, huh? How are you? Yeah.
Hi, Conrad. Hi, Emily.
Hi.
Hi.
All right. I think that's about everybody. Pauline, should we kick off?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, please.
All right. All right. So I think quick introductions first. My name is Lawton Lai. I'm one of the co-founders here at Find Recruiter. Along with me is Vivian Shang. She will be CLP's dedicated account manager moving forward. So for many of you who are hearing about Find Recruiter for the first time, we're actually a HR tech company that's incubated by Hong Kong Cyberport. What we are is we're a talent crowdsourcing platform that connects you to Asia's largest network of recruiting professionals. Right. So before I dive into our platform, I'd love to share a bit more about us. So I myself, I've been a recruiter for the past 10 years. And every week I would get calls from different hiring managers complaining about how difficult it was to hire. And the truth is, hiring today takes longer than ever. A company on average takes 49 days to fill a job opening. And I remember it got so bad that a head of IT of a fintech company called me up one day and said, Lawton, we're in trouble. We've been trying to hire a data scientist for the past 4 months. Now, I really wanted to help him, but I knew nothing about data. But what I did know were 10 recruiters in the market that specialized in data recruitment. So I called them all up, told them about the job and the juicy commissions that they were willing to pay. Then boom, they got candidates in 48 hours and hired someone in just 7 days. And that's when the big idea hit us. What if there was this platform that could broadcast your jobs, not just to 10 recruiters, but to hundreds or thousands of recruiting professionals, all racing to find you the right candidates? Now, with this platform, companies and hiring managers would hire a lot faster. And sure, recruiters would earn more commissions as well. So we at Find Recruiter, we've built this platform and we're super excited on our progress so far. So since we launched 3 years ago, we've been helping companies of all sizes hire great people faster. So from your large corporates like Hong Kong Land and Hong Kong Broadband, all the way to your startup and technology company like Pernetics, who just went IPO in the US a couple weeks ago. And you'll notice that we help these companies hire a vast range of different people, right? So from your engineers to your corporate functions, all the way to really high in demand now, front and back end developers, analyst programmers, right? Who we help hire for a lot of these startups and technology companies. But what we're really most proud of is our speed. Now, companies on Find Recruiter are hiring 2 times faster, reducing their average time to hire from 49 days to just 25. So how does Find Recruiter work? Well, I think this will be the focus of today's session. I really want to show everyone here, all the hiring managers here today, the job board, how to post your job, which will primarily be facilitated by your HR BP. But what you need to know is how you do a voice briefing, how you calibrate your job. And lastly is when you start getting candidates, how do you manage your candidate pipeline? How do you review candidates? how do you request for an interview, all the way to giving recruiters feedback so they can continuously fine-tune their search so that the next batch of candidates they send you are more matched towards what you're looking for, right? So I'm going to go through all these three things today, which will probably take the next 15 to 20 minutes. Feel free to interject. Just raise your hand any time between, and I'll pause to answer any questions. Cool, then let's jump right into it. All right, so the first thing I want to show everyone here is the job board. This is not your typical job board where candidates can apply directly. This job board is specifically for recruiters to pick up orders. Kind of like how Uber drivers pick up orders on their phone. This is where recruiters come to pick up orders to help companies fill jobs and earn commissions, right? So just to share, right now there's over $10 million Hong Kong dollars in commissions waiting to be earned. And you'll see that there's a lot of different companies hiring various positions, whether it be digital, finance, accounting, HR, and various other corporate functions as well. All right, so let's just take this first job, for example. So Pauline, I know your team is already using our platform. So I see CLP Digital IT has posted an associate product manager role. So if I was a recruiter, I can click into this job. I can view the job description. So you're looking for an associate product manager that's specifically doing e-commerce. And more so, you're looking for someone who specifically has Adobe Magento experience and project management. Great. Now, what I want to learn more about this job is beyond the job description, right? So the truth is, if you just give a recruiter a job description, the chances of them being able to find you the right candidate is very slim, right? That's why we ask every HR and hiring manager when they post a job is to do a voice recording, answering 5 very specific questions about the job. So for example, what do you think makes the most ideal candidate? What are the biggest problems you want this person to solve? To things like, oh, what's the DNA or culture of your team, right? And what happens when you post a job is our system would actually have a robot that gives you a phone call, literally give you a phone call and ask you these 5 specific questions. I'll go into more detail later about how this happens when you post a job. But the reason why we, again, ask hiring managers and HR to do this recording is so recruiters really understand what you're looking for beyond just the job description, right? So really help recruiters help you, right? And at the same time, it helps streamline the process because if there's 5 or 10 recruiters working on the job, you're not going to brief them one by one. Right? It doesn't make sense to spend, 15, 20 minutes briefing each recruiter one by one. I mean, if you're working on 5, 10 different jobs, then you're going to spend days or even a whole week just briefing recruiters. On our platform, you only need to do it once. And if recruiters have any specific jobs, they can ask you through the platform. You'll get a notification as soon as they ask you a question. And all the other recruiters would see both the question and the answer. So again, this prevents any type of duplication from happening moving forward, right? So everyone has the same access to all the information that you've provided to any recruiter you're working with, right? So let's just say if I'm a recruiter and I can work on this job because I've got candidates on hand immediately. Very simple. I just need to click Add to Jobs, right? And once I've clicked Add to Jobs, I can then just start submitting candidates to you directly, right? And when I submit candidates, there are just a few basic things that I fill out. So I fill out the name of the candidate. I fill out the candidate's email. This is for our system's duplication tracking, which I'll go into a bit more detail later. It's for they fill in some of the salary details, which will only be accessible by your HR team, and they fill in some of the corresponding screening questions that you've inputted that you want the recruiter to help you screen, right? So I just wanted to quickly show everyone here what, when you're posting a job, what you're trying to accomplish is you're trying to post a job on this job board. So recruiters, right now we have over 500 recruiters on our platform. A lot of them specialize in IT, sales and marketing, finance and HR, and other various niche functions as well, that they can pick up your jobs and they can help you access the right candidates quickly. Right, so that's the job board. What I'll do now is I'll jump over to posting a job. Right, but before I do that, any questions here so far about the job board?
Hey, hi, Lawton. This is Millie. Just want to check who are the recruiters. Are these recruiters transparent to us?
Good question. So these recruiters, you'll know who they are once they start submitting candidates to you, right? But our community of recruiters are all recruiting professionals. So what that means is they're all full-time recruiters, and they're licensed to recruit in Hong Kong, right? So a lot of these recruiters typically will come from more of the boutique or smaller size recruitment agencies compared to maybe some of the bigger recruitment agencies that you're used to working with, right? And the reason for that is a lot of these smaller recruitment agencies, they tend to be more specialized in a certain domain that they work with, and at the same time, they're more willing to go the extra mile for a specific client, right? So we love to work with these small and boutique recruitment agencies, and when you post a job, you'll get to know who they are. You can interact with them, and you'll find out who they are as well. Yeah, so Millie, hopefully I answered your question there.
Yes. Then how about the candidates? So each recruiter will have their own database of the candidates that can be offers to any specific job, right?
That's correct. Yes. So if I was an e-commerce recruiter or digital recruiter, I'd be very interested in this job because on hand, maybe I already have 10 e-commerce product managers on hand. So I would immediately add this to my job list and start sending candidates to Pauline and the hiring manager through the system right away. Right?
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, hi, Victor.
And a follow-up question to Millie's. Do we get to see the list of the recruiters? And a follow-up question to that is, if so, can we target specific recruiters?
Yes. So I will be showing you this when we post a job, but I'll fast forward real quick just to answer your question first. So let's just say you've posted a job, and these will be, oops, I'll need to, hold on, just let me log out first. So let's fast forward and say you've posted a job and you're starting to receive candidates. You'll see all the recruiters who are working on your job. So right now, if you're hiring a UI UX design role, for example, there are about 10 recruiters who are actively working on this job. You'll see how many candidates they've sent, you'll see how many interviews they've arranged and rejected as well, and the turnaround time as well for each recruiter from when they pick up the job to sending the first batch of candidates to you. So this is fully transparent, you'll know, and you'll be able to interact with them as well on the platform, which will also show. Yeah.
Sorry, so does that mean before you post a job, you can't say, okay, there is the universe of 500, but I just only want to select the 10 that I'm familiar with. So is it the other way around where you post a job and anybody, any recruiter can come in? There's no that pre-selection that you can do first.
So you can do that pre-selection where you can pre-select the recruiters you want. And at the same time, if you don't want to broadcast to all the recruiters, those 500 that I mentioned just now, you don't have to if you don't want to as well. You can turn off that feature. which I'll show you in a second through the job posting process. Right, so it's very customizable. If you want to work with your own recruiters, you can do that. If you want to expand your search and really cast a wide net to all these different recruiters out there in our network, feel free to do so as well. Right, so Victor, that's really up to you.
Okay. Apologies for asking so many questions.
No.
And in terms of the recruiters, are there any information about background information, track record, that sort of thing that can be looked at on the site?
So you can click into, like, I'm just going to pull a random recruiter here. So Raymond Chan, for example, you can see, you know, what he specialized in the past and all the placements he's done in our platform. You can, if you're interested to learn about these recruiters, there's this information for you. Yeah.
No, thank you.
Fantastic. Great. So for what I'll go through next, in terms of process, I'll be showing everyone how to post your job, and I'll primarily be emphasizing on how to do the voice briefing and how to calibrate your job moving forward. So I'll jump right into that. Oops. All right, so to post a job, it's really simple. There's a button on the left panel here that says submit job order, right? But for time purposes, I've already pre-filled a job. I believe most of the time your respective HRs would have done this already, right? So they'll just fill in some basic information, like the title, the skill sets that they're looking for, the salary, and a job description as well. So this is very familiar. What they'll do next is they'll start inviting their peers and hiring managers to this job, right? So for example, if I'm Pauline, I'll be inviting a respective hiring manager, a digital hiring manager, onto the team so he can review candidates together and make decisions together. And I can also invite maybe another HR colleague of mine that I want to help facilitate this job as well, right? So once you've done that, you can then start to select what recruiters you want to engage for this job, right? So Victor, to answer your question here, this is where you select whether or not you want to broadcast to our community of recruiters. You can turn it off if you have specific recruiters in mind already that you want to work with. Right? So if there are any specific recruiters you want to work with, they should already be on your list here. And you can just very easily just add them to your list and they'll get a notification about the job. But if you say, hey, actually, I want to prioritize speed. Speed is something that's very important. I'm super urgent to fill this role. Then my recommendation is to turn it on. And at the same time, maybe add 2 or 3 of your closest recruiters to this job. But from what I believe, I think the HR would very likely manage this part of the process. So do align with your HR team as to what recruiters you want to onboard and whether or not you want to broadcast to the community of recruiters on our platform. Right. So once that's done, you can go through the details. This is just to confirm. And this is where the fun bit begins, where our system would give you a call to ask you 5 simple questions about this job. Now, this call would usually take about 10 minutes, give or take. So how it works is just take a call, make sure your phone number is correct. If it's not, you can change it and click call. What will happen is you would receive a phone call from a dodgy number. It's actually a number from the US, but don't worry, this is a toll-free call. Answer it. and you'll start hearing instructions as to how to complete this call. And everything that you record on this call will be recorded and shared with recruiters moving forward, so that apart from the job description, they fully understand your job because you've given them a brief as well, right? So there's two important tips. So when you record this call, I think it's great if you can imagine yourself actually pitching a candidate for your specific role. A lot of times, your energy and the way you share things would really translate or be, picked up by the recruiter, and then they in turn would have the same energy and enthusiasm when they pitch the candidates as well. Right? So really imagine yourself as if you're pitching a candidate when you do this call. And secondly, don't be restricted by the 5 questions we give you, right? These 5 questions, I think, are a good starting point. They're generic questions. But for the last question, for example, if there's anything additional you feel that's very job specific or industry specific, or anything additional instructions you want to share with the recruiter, just feel free to share that as well, right? So imagine you're pitching to a candidate and don't be restricted by those 5 questions that we have here, right? So once you've completed the phone call, what will happen is very simply click I've completed the call. Excuse me. If you're not happy with your call, you can always record it again. Then once you've done the call, we recommend you to start filling out some of the details that recruiters always ask as well. So for example, recruiters always ask, how many people is the incumbent joining? So if they're joining a team of 9, is it a new role? Is it a replacement? How much of this person's responsibility will be divided between management and hands-on duties to the team that they're leading, right? So recruiters always ask these rather generic questions, but it's important for them when they pitch candidates, right? So do fill in these holes so recruiters have a clear understanding of what exactly you're looking for. And beyond that, you can fill in screening questions. All right, so these screening questions are basically must-haves for recruiters to introduce you candidates, right? So you can say, for example, the incumbent must have EMP qualification experience. So if that's a must-have for your job, fill that in, and the recruiter would understand, oh, okay, these are things I need to look out for. And when they submit the candidate, they have a checklist. They need to check off all these things that you've added as a screening question, just so the candidates they introduce you don't waste your time. And lastly, here is the interview pipeline. This is quite self-explanatory, so just fill in the different stages of the interview process, and this is essentially used for the candidate to manage, for the recruiter to manage the candidate's expectation moving forward in the process, right? So everything you fill in here is important for the recruiter to communicate with candidates and for them to pitch candidates properly the opportunity that's on hand right now. Right, so any questions here so far before I move on to the next step, which is to show everyone here how to manage your candidate pipeline and to review candidates? Yep. Oh, let me see. James, to answer your question, so the lion's share of recruiters, I'd say over 50% of the recruiters are actually based in Hong Kong. While we have recruiters in Singapore, in Taiwan, Malaysia, Vietnam, and in the UK as well. So our recruiters are essentially scattered across Asia Pacific and some in the UK. Having said that, when you post a job, you need to select the location where your job is. And so, for example, if you're willing to expand your search into Singapore or Taiwan for whatever reason, you can select those locations as well. And respectively, those local recruiters can help you source local candidates, right? James, hopefully I've answered your question there. Great. So what I'll show everyone next is how to start reviewing candidates once recruiters start sending them through. All right, so let's fast forward maybe 48 hours later, you start receiving candidates. And this is your dashboard. This is your pipeline to move candidates into the different stages of the process. All right, so all your new candidates would come through your inbox. All the candidates that you're reviewing will be in the review column. And if you have different stages in your pipeline, which I believe every hiring manager will probably have something different, is you can customize your own stage as well, right? So if you said, hey, I want to create a stage that's called peer review, you can create a stage that's exactly like that. Let's color code this orange, and you can just drag and drop it within the different process. Now, these stages you create are only visible to your internal team. So to your HRs and to other hiring managers, they'll be able to see these different stages, but to recruiters, they don't know what stages that you've created, right? So again, for this particular job, there are about 10 recruiters who have engaged this role, and each of them have sent in different candidates, a different number of candidates that are at different stages right now. And at the top, what you'll see are your reasons for rejecting recruiters, right? And this is actually shared with all the recruiters that are working on your job. And so what this essentially gives recruiters is hints and insights, more insights to what you're looking for, right? So 33% of all candidates have been rejected because they're over budget. So what that just tells recruiters is, please just don't send anyone that's over budget, right? It just doesn't make sense to do so because very likely they'll get rejected, right? So let's get started and review some candidates. So there's a candidate here that's called Vera Wong. So Vera here has been sent by a recruiter that's called Lots and Lie. That's me. Let's check out Vera's profile. So you'll see here that the recruiter has filled in some comments to the screening questions that the hiring manager has set, right? So you can skim through these just to kind of get a high-level understanding of the candidate's capabilities. And more so, you can go through Vera's profile, right? So Vera, you can take a look at their profile. And if you say, hey, Vera looks good, what you can do is just keep the candidate. And you can inform your respective HRs to help you schedule an interview, right? So what you can say, for example, is, let's say Vivian is my HR, for example, Vivian, I'd like to meet this candidate, please help arrange. So what would happen is Vivian on her end would get a notification that you want to arrange this interview, and your HR would take care of the rest, right? So just to share with you how this happens is to request an interview, what your HR would do is they'll go in and basically send a interview request. So let's say you want to meet this candidate via Microsoft Teams. I want to invite Vivian to this job, and let's just say it's 3 p.m. or 5 p.m. Friday. And your HR will attach an application form, and boom, they'll hit send, and the recruiter will take care of the rest. They'll confirm it through the system, and both you, the hiring manager, and the HR would receive a interview confirmation, and within that email, you can just easily add it to your calendar as well. Right? So I want to show you guys how it works in terms of going through the candidate and requesting an interview. But let's just say you have some questions about the candidate. What you can do is feel free to ask the recruiter directly. So maybe you want to ask the recruiter, you know, hi Lawson, does the candidate have this experience? And why did they leave their last job? That's what you want to ask. You can ping the recruiter here, and basically everyone will be in the loop about this conversation. It's almost like a WhatsApp group chat, right? So within this chat would be your HR, you, the hiring manager, and the recruiter, and everyone can communicate and streamline communications through this one dashboard, right? So let's just say amazing. This candidate is great. What will happen is if you want to hire a candidate, your HR would go through the platform to confirm a placement with the recruiter, and everything would be automatic from then on, right? But let's just say the candidates that you've been receiving are not exactly what you're looking for, right? Maybe there's this gap in between the candidates you want versus the candidates that you're getting. So what you can do really easily is give recruiters feedback, right? And what this does is it sends a mass message to all the active recruiters who are on your job right now, right? So the 10 recruiters I showed you just now, it'll send them a mass message to give them instructions or further insights on how they can do better, right? So maybe there's been a change in your role and you say, hey, hi recruiters, there's been a change in the role. Please fine tune your search to include the following. So it could be maybe 3 quick bullet points, boom, hit send, and all the recruiters would receive a notification on their end that there's been a change, right? So I do highly recommend using this feature often, especially if, you know, the first batch of candidates you're getting is not exactly what you're looking for. Do use this search so there's a continuous feedback given to recruiters. And so again, help them help you, right? That's really what this function is for. Essentially that's it. I think so. What I want to go back to again is I think the key takeaways here. So using Find Recruiter, what hiring managers can expect is we'll help you access more passive candidates in the market and help you cast a wider net for candidates. But this will require some work on your end, right? So what this will require is for hiring managers to do an audio brief, to take a briefing, and really tell recruiters what exactly you're looking for. Help them help you, right? So the 2 tips, again, are when you're doing the audio brief, really imagine that you're pitching a candidate. So your energy transfers over to the recruiter, and the recruiter is better at pitching the candidate, right? And don't be limited to the 5 questions we ask you. They're generic questions. Feel free to share more that you feel is related to your job and will help recruiters with their search. Right? And lastly is give recruiters timely feedback so they can really fine-tune their search in the process, right? Usually a search can take anywhere between 2-3 weeks plus, right? And really give them updates or insights, especially after you've met candidates, so that they know exactly what you don't want and what it is you want, right? Recruiters are great listeners, so share with them more about what's on your mind, right? So any questions here so far?
Hi, Lawson. It's Jonathan here.
Hi, Jonathan.
Yes, thank you for your very good introduction. I just want to know, just briefly, do you have, based on experience since you launched of this platform, I think it's a very good platform. What about any tips that you think, what kind of post or positions that would be most suitable for using this platform? Because I think your platform have certain a niche, competitive niche
Yes.
that, for example, you could cast very wide nets and you able to reach to, as you said, the passive candidates, right? They are sitting in some of the smaller recruiters, which CLP or us will not normally reach to those smaller recruiters. So based on experience, what kind of job or job nature or candidates or experience of candidates that we will be most suitable by using this platform or having a higher successful rate if we want to try this platform? Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jonathan. So right now we have 500 recruiters on the platform, 500 plus, and they really cover all industries, even the really niche functions out there. But just based on our track record, what I can say we're best at is definitely the corporate functions. So what I mean by that is IT, sales and marketing, finance and accounting, and HR. So these 4 corporate functions are probably our strongest. But at the same time, we're also very successful on some of the niche functions as well. So for example, engineering, right, is an area that we have made quite a lot of placements, and we have quite a lot of specialist recruiters that are tailored in this area, as well as like supply chain and various other niche functions as well, right? But to answer your question there, Jonathan, again, I think corporate functions definitely are our strongest suit. But if you have any niche areas that you're looking to recruit, you can try our platform as well. A lot of recruiters, what they can do is they are very good at pivoting themselves, right? Just because they come from these small boutique recruitment agencies, is they can run a tailored search for you, even though they might not have exact experience in that area, right? And this is something only the boutique or small agencies are willing to do, versus maybe the bigger players out there.
Great, thank you. Just a follow-up question on your answer. So you mentioned finance function. So we have quite a number of finance functions in finance team. So you cover accounting and tax, investor relationship, treasuries, risk management. So do you have any specific strength in this finance space?
Yeah, I would say all the different sub-functions you mentioned just now are areas that we would have capability in covering. From ARP, AP, all the way to what you mentioned, treasury, all these different functions. We would have specific recruiters who can take on these assignments.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, I think the great way to look at this is don't think of us as a recruitment agency, right? Because when you think of us as a recruitment agency, you'll be very focused on one specific thing, like what do you specialize on, right? But the great thing about our platform is we have the databases of hundreds and hundreds of recruiters, and each of them have their own database of specific group of candidates, right? So we're almost like an aggregator of all these different recruitment agencies and recruiting professionals, so that it does cover all the different pockets that you might be looking for. I think that's a better mentality to look at our platform. Great. So what I'll do next is I'm going to hand it over to Vivian. She will be your dedicated account manager moving forward, and I'll leave it to her to introduce herself.
Okay, yeah, thank you everyone for attending today's session. Yeah, some people I have already seen before. I spoke to you as well. It's really a great pleasure to work with you here again. Just a little bit more about myself. So I'm originally from China, but I've been in Hong Kong since 16 years ago. I attended my master's degree in engineering and then been working in recruitment industry for 14 years. I primarily, I've been like a whole career before finding recruiter. I was working in different recruitment agencies. So yeah, biggest company like Michael Page, I worked there, you know, almost for 5 years, and then middle-sized companies, CXC, and then even small companies, Terminal One. So in terms of my understanding with the CLP, I think I have really good had some good foundation already. Since 10 years ago, in Michael Page, I already started to serve CLP, and then afterwards in different companies, I was hired for different tech roles. And in Terminal One and even also CXC. Yeah, so with CXC, probably I worked more closely with the CLP digital IT. In terms of my market experience in different market, I primarily focus in Hong Kong, and then also worked in, I worked in China and also Taiwan market as well, briefly. So, yeah, that's about me. So my focus here is really to solve any kind of problems everyone have, any questions. Eventually we want to achieve a goal, make the hiring one of your strengths. Regarding earlier the demonstration that Norton has done, I want to also just add a little bit my point. The Clara AI, which will make the phone call to you for a job briefing. It will be English, but if your team is looking for like a local candidate, or if you primarily want to have a local consultant to work on the role, feel free to brief that in Cantonese. So yeah, so the right recruiter will be able to understand, also will be able to work on the role as well. So other thing is we do have this briefing, voice briefing function. However, if some of you really don't prefer to work to do voice briefing, don't worry about that. You can also click on a human brief, and then we can also schedule a phone and then grab the ideas through a interactive session with the human, and then we'll be able to also share the insight of the job to all the recruiters. Again, I think the platform, hopefully that can help you really fast. But if there's any question where you use it, feel free to reach me out. Later I will send everyone an email just to include my contact information. Yeah, again, very, very nice talking to everyone, and I hope we will bring some good results together soon. Yeah, so
Great.
yeah.
Thanks for that, Vivian. So next steps. I believe your HR teams will be posting their first job on the platform. What will happen then is all the hiring managers here would receive a notification to sign up and to take part in the job. And again, connect with Vivian if you have any further questions. Thanks, everyone. Pauline, was there anything you wanted to add?
No, I think it is clear.
Okay, great, fantastic. Thanks everyone for your time today.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you, Lawton
Thank
and
you,
Vivian.
Lawton.
And
Thank
thank
you.
you all the
Thank you.
audience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.